Our reading today is taken from Luke, chapter 17, verses 11 through 19. And it's a story about the power of gratitude. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well."
Remind us of love, stories of today that remind us of the power of giving thanks. Be with us in our listening and in our imagining. Be with us in this conversation that we might hear your voice, a word intended for us. Amen. Good. So it happened again just yesterday. I got to officiate a beautiful wedding at the Calgary Zoo. In the background were flamingos and I think a llama. And the couple came forward, two beautiful brides, and they exchanged their vows one with another. As they recessed down the line, the little flower girls were just behind, and they forgot to throw their petals on the way up, so they were throwing them on the way down. And I bent down, I said to one of the little girls, "Oh, aren't you just beautiful today? You're doing such a good job." And her mom came quick out of the corner and said, "Now what do you say? Now what do you say?" Thank you. I don't know. It's an ancient practice. This thing about please and thank you. I mean, all the way back when I was a child, I remember my mother saying, as I would go down the street to visit my best friend, "Remember to say your please and thank yous. Remember to say your please and thank yous." And I don't know when she stopped saying it so explicitly, but it has left a mark on me. And I remember to say my please and thank yous. Somehow, manners matter. Please and thank yous. It's the theme of today, giving thanks, saying thank you. And actually, waking up this morning and looking outside, I wanted to start singing to myself, "It's the most wonderful time of the," and then I stopped. It's not Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, but for some of us, it can feel like that kind of festive celebration time. We can't wait for the traditions of this when everything turns orange and there's a smell of cinnamon and spice. And actually, if you come forward later on the service to light a candle or two, be sure to smell what's in this basket on either side. Nancy Watts picked these up, and they're actually all the fragrances that go into a turkey. It smells like stuffing and turkey right here on this pot. So some of us are really excited about all that Thanksgiving has to bring. The other side is that some of us, it's not so much of a wonderful time of the year. We think about family, and for some of us, yay, family, and for others, yay, family. Some of us, it's the perfect time for us because we're perfectionists, and the table has to be set just so. And for others, that can bring a lot of stress. Thanksgiving, though, has its roots in us being a people of the land and a people who are thankful for what the land produces, the time of the harvest. Now, when I first moved to Canada and a family was spending time in downtown Toronto where we lived, it was very urban. I was very disconnected from this Canadian festival they called Thanksgiving. So it wasn't until about 11 years ago when I moved out to Alberta did I really get a sense of Thanksgiving in my body. I would watch the farmers out in St. Paul put their entire livelihood into the ground. And they would till the earth. They even let me once in a while in the spring get on the cedar and using the GPS, put the seeds in the earth. They'd put their livelihoods into the ground and they'd wait. And they'd wait for that sun and they'd wait for that rain. And they were terrified when the frost came. But when that harvest moon came out, the first September, I was in St. Paul and it took up the entire sky. And a few weeks around that, we were harvesting canola and wheat and barley. I began to get a sense in my body of the power of giving thanks for what the earth produces. And that's the root of this time of year, giving thanks for harvest. We know that there are many things to give thanks for in addition to what the land produces. Meister Eckhart famously said that if the only prayer you said in your entire life was thank you, that would be enough. It turns out that gratitude is a part of what it is to be human. It moves within us and around us. We can think about things to be grateful for, but we also can just experience life and notice those moments that take our breath away. Thank you. Or there's a next step on the journey and we feel ourselves within. Thank you for life, for new life. Thank you for the person who listened, who really listened. Thank you. When hope got you through it, thank you. A word that says you are loved, forgiven, and set free. Thank you. Thank you is a melody within us. Thanksgiving is this song, an ancient song within us, and humanity has never stopped singing that song. Today, though, it seems that gratitude has more of a pop culture flair, doesn't it? I walk into HomeSense now and again just to be inspired, and I see on the wall art. It's so beautiful there in beautiful script. Be grateful, give thanks. Gratitude turns what you have into enough. Gratitude, like faith, is a muscle. And my favorite t-shirt, keep calm and get your gratitude on. Gratitude's all around these days. It's a popular blogging topic, just Google it. If you have a Pinterest account, you can see gratitude pinboards all around. For the spiritual, for the religious, for the nominally religious, gratitude is in. We're giving thanks. Maybe it started with Oprah, who told us to do our gratitude journals. I followed, come on. Disciples of Oprah in the house. Or the gratitude arts of journaling. There've even started now a movement of the gratitude tweets, trying to shape our perspective and outlook on what matters most. And gratitude does form us. Whether it's Harvard research or Stanford research, the psychologists, the sociologists are teaching us that gratitude actually has physiological benefits to our brains, to our minds, to our bodies, to our spirits. You see, gratitude, it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's all about recognizing the good in life. It's an ancient practice. When the Hebrew peoples, our spiritual ancestors, started noticing what God was up to in the world, they began to recognize the good. They called it hakarat hatov, recognizing the good. And that's where gratitude starts, to notice how God's goodness and blessings are already available to us in both life's joys and in life's sorrows. Recognizing the good. When I heard this phrase, it drew me back to the Old Testament story, the one that you know well. It's an ancient story, cosmological in size and mythological. It's the story of Genesis, the first creation story. And there was a breath of God that came across the chaos. And there was a separation of the sky from the earth. There was a separation of the waters, and there was land. And what did God say? It is good. Day 2, day 3, day 4, animals were created, the butterflies, the beetles, the orchids. And God said, it is good. Day 5 and day 6 came about, and God breathed into the earth the dust, and Adam, was there. And God said at the creation of human beings, it is very good. It is marvelous to think that in the very beginning of our story, the identity of God, the nature of God's self, is to practice gratitude. God recognizing the good. God recognizing the good is an essential nature of who God's self is. And we're written into that story. So think about how amazing that is, that every time we experience gratitude coming from somewhere within us, when we recognize the good, we're able to see the good in the sorrow and in the joy. We're actually practicing something of God. And God said, it is good. Remember how Jesus was at the table the night before Good Friday, and he gathered with his friends that day. And it says that he gave thanks. He blessed the bread and he broke it, and he said, take this and remember me. Whenever you do this, remember me. Whenever you give thanks, remember me. Whenever you give thanks, remember the God who gives thanks and recognizes it is good. The story tells us at the table that when we give thanks, it is a pathway to knowing something of the divine. When we give thanks, it becomes a spiritual pathway to knowing something of the holy. I wonder what role gratitude plays in your life then. Is it like my mother tried to teach me, please and thank you? At the manners level, you know it's a good thing to do. It keeps the relationship good. It's kind, it's polite. Or is it possible that gratitude really is a practice of the soul? An eternal spiritual practice that puts us on the path and keeps us walking on the path that connects us to the source of life, to the presence that is one, sometimes called God. I think that this is possible. And we might keep ourselves open and say, yes, I'm thankful for all things. I'm thankful for all things. Yes, yes, yes. I'm open, open, open. But I wonder too about the role of asking in the midst of that. Please and thank you is what my mom said, not just thank you. Please also. Earlier this week, I was visiting with Anne Levy, who is a wise soul in our congregation. She's a volunteer with Everyday Outreach. That's our weekly ministry that happens here in the church that connects with those who come into the church midweek asking for support or needing support. And I asked Anne, Anne, I'm working on this sermon. I'm just kind of thinking through this dynamic of please and thank you. She said, let me stop you there. I'm good with the thank you, not so good with the please. Please sounds a lot like begging. Please sounds like I'm needy. I need things. And And as I walked around the church throughout the week asking questions of folks, it seems that we're kind of uncomfortable with the please, with the ask, with being in need. So I remember this story of the lepers and how 10 of them were on the outskirts of the city. And you have to remember that those that were in dis-ease in the time of this story, the time of Jesus living, were often ostracized and marginalized to literally the boundaries, the borders of the city town. And they were sent away outcasts in order to deal with their dis-ease. So there they are on the outsides, the perimeters of the community. And they see this rabbi walking toward them. And they maybe could have been open, thankful for another day. Maybe they were. But they had the courage to say, please, to ask. And they cried out to this rabbi, Rabbi, teacher, yoo-hoo, extend some mercy over here. And I've been in the situations with you, and you've been in those situations with others where the only thing you can do, even before gratitude, is ask for what you need. God, I'm in need of a little of your comfort. Over here, I'm in need of a little of your strength. Over here, I'm in need of a little of your hope. Over here, I'm in need of a little of your courage to be brave for another day. And Jesus comes over and in compassion looks upon his friends at the margins of the town and says to them, turn around and go back to full community. And as they turn and they walk away, they realize that their dis-ease has passed and they are bodily healed. And one of them is so overcome with gratitude inside that he turns around and he throws himself on the ground. And he says, thank you. Thank you. I think there's a real connection between please and thank you. Being a people who have the strength and clarity and discernment to say, I'm in need of this today. And being a people who are able to say on the other side, I have received and I am truly thankful. I tried to practice that in a deep way this week. On Monday afternoon, I had a conversation with my spiritual director who's out on the West Coast. And it was about a 50-minute session. And at about the 40-minute mark, something happened inside of me where she was inviting me to do just this, to drop deep into what I was most grateful for. And my tears started to flow because everything felt like surface. I'm grateful that I'm warm today. I'm grateful that there's heat coming out of the radiators in 100-year-old Hillhurst. I'm grateful that I had lunch today. I'm grateful. It just wasn't feeling honest, wasn't feeling real. She invited me to just take a deep breath and be quiet and to drop into that place where the soul knows what gratitude is all about. Because God is practicing gratitude and God dwells in that inner quiet place within all of us. And the tears continued to flow because I just couldn't find what I was most grateful for. But I kept breathing and kept dropping into it. And then it showed itself. I was grateful for my breath. And I was grateful for the breath that was breathing me that day. And I heard myself, and she heard me on the phone say, yes, I will. I don't know how. Please help me. That was Monday's prayer. And there was a gratitude inside of me for having a breath that would breathe me, a prayer that said, yes, I will step in. I don't know how. Help me. Tuesday morning, I got up and came to the church and had a day where I was paying attention to what was going on. I walked into the gymnasium and there was a mural on the wall. There's one there now. It wasn't yet complete because Chris Brewster was coming in on Wednesday to finish it off. I came back on Wednesday, still aware and grateful of this breath that's breathing me. Walked into the gym, and Chris had just finished the beautiful new kids' space mural. Done over a series of 4 weeks, we can only guess something like 35 hands have touched this mural of paint and fishes, of hearts and trees, and if you look closely, my own little white bird, a V. We took a photo of the mural together. She left, and I looked upon it, and I felt the power of that breath and a gratitude for, yes, I will. This ministry I give myself to. I am grateful for all that the people and children and youth of Hillhurst are doing and being. And it dropped into me with this powerful yes. I am thankful. And that was just a few days ago. And since then, I've been trying to pay attention to what I'm truly most grateful for and allowing the life, the love, the world, you all in this community, allowing it all to be before me and be within me that I might give an authentic gratitude. Church, I'm just going to invite us now just to be still, and Bruce is going to play a little something for us. And I'm going to invite you to see if you can drop into that deep place, that soul place, and find that place of connection with the God who already is practicing thanksgiving, the God who already, in God's identity, is gratitude, recognizing the good. Maybe touch yourself in that place where it feels like soul, that place where you are most aware of that connection. And let's take a deep breath in and drop into that place. Take a deep breath in and go a little deeper. Thank you, Bruce. And let those images and thoughts of your life, see them in your mind. See the places where the good shows up as beauty and compassion and gentleness. Notice where the good shows up as resilience and courage, as strength and conviction. Notice where the good shows up even in your weariness or exhaustion. Recognize the good even in those places where you grieve and where you mourn. Whenever you give thanks, remember me, Jesus said. Remember me. Remember now in that deep place your identity as a beloved child of God. And God said, it is good. Remember in that place that you are called and that you are precious. And God said, you are my beloved. Recognize the good that sits within you. And now notice how it begins to spread. And it spreads within you and out of you. And your gratitude and your thankfulness begins to fill this space. And maybe you want to whisper that word, thank you, that phrase, I am grateful. And maybe you can start to imagine moving from this place and that gratitude moving with you, and you can see yourself doing acts of gratitude and fleshing and embodying gratefulness in your living. There's someone that you need to give thanks to. There's a letter that you need to write. There's an MLA that you need to call. There's someone that you need to visit. There's an email that you need to send. You're out there in the world, stretched open, wide, and able to be gratitude, for you are in touch with the gratitude within. Spirit of the living God, let this be a different kind of Thanksgiving. Not only of manners and kind remarks of please and thank you that makes the experience on the surface, but let this be a Thanksgiving that drops into the very core of our souls and our beings, that we might be a people who are in touch with you, the God of thanks, the Spirit of gratitude, in a place so deep within ourselves that we know it fully. Thank you. Thank you. In the living name of God who is with us, now and always.